Marozzo's final section of his solo spada abbattimenti is starting from portefeuille stretta at this measure. Make sure your hand is originating from this low position. And he says to advance your front right foot, bring a rising falso to hit the sword of your enemy so that the swords are together false edge to false edge. So if my feet are this way, I'm going to have a bit of a problem advancing my front foot and have any sort of stability here. So what we do is called driving the front foot forward. And to make that happen from this measure, and it's perfectly the right thing to do here, is when you make your falso, you're bringing up your rear foot and advancing your front foot. So now we are in stretta di mezza spada. False edge to false edge. The false edges are meeting at the center. Then here, what I'm to do immediately is make a mezza volta, which means with half turn of the hand, turning my true edge toward his false edge. Now there's an advantage right there of strength. And he says furthermore to raise the hand. So raising my hand is for the purpose of getting my true edge up into his déballé, because I'm going to thrust right here, passing my left foot strongly forward. I don't want to have my true edge, my sword going through the forte of my opponent. You have to make sure you not only turn your hand, but you raise it, and then you will step forward. So starting from out here, make this falso, and your point can drop. It must, as you step in mezza volta and step strongly forward with your left foot this way. Now he says to, when you step, make sure you step on the outside of your opponent's foot rather than on the inside of your opponent's foot to avoid being tripped or kicked. So here, let's take a look at that. This is more commonly seen in grappling. If he steps his back foot up near my front foot, he's on the inside. This is what this is showing in the play. If he places it on the inside of my foot, I can push this with my knee and take him down. Or, as he steps in with that foot, I can kick his foot out with my foot. That way, like a sweeping kick. Also, he steps in that way, I can kick his knee more strongly, a little more violently. All that's possible because he's stepping inside of my foot. If he wants to step in, he steps to the outside of my foot. I can't do any of that, and he's actually got the ability to do all of that stuff. Yes. So therefore, when you step in, don't place your foot on the inside of your opponent's foot, because we do grapple. Bolognese fencing is full of grappling maneuvers, and that's why Marozzo included that bit of knowledge right there. So from this position, get here, turn, and go in, stepping to the outside. Now, my opponent still has a way to save themselves, which is to raise their hand, their sword, and push my thrust to the outside. This is what Marozzo says he should do, and it's the next step here. I engage in stretta di mezza spada. He voluntarily goes there with me, so that we are here because he will willingly, voluntarily get into this with me, because he's got just as much a chance as I do, because that's what they said. When we get into stretta di mezza spada, it's a very Bolognese thing to do. It's the Bolognese way, because who's ever quickest right there can become agent and have the advantage. So don't shy away from stretta di mezza spada. Get into it willingly. So that's just what's happening here. This is what's showing. And this play does not begin with us already at false edge to false edge. There are some people doing this. They're in Europe. It is not appropriate. That is not our way of fighting at that measure in that manner. We are starting out here, and we initiate by throwing a falso to hit the sword. We don't start up there. We get up here. Now, when I'm mezza volta, note the turn. I'm not just doing that. That's not as strong. If I bring my shoulders, that's very strong. He can't push that. If I simply turn, that's not very strong. So this turn, not only does it add strength, my point right now is not really in his face. When I turn, that aims it right at the face. I make sure I'm higher than his mezza spada. I step in. To save himself, he'll raise his hand and push this outside. When he does so, I make a presa and hit him anywhere, Marozzo says. So as he lifts to defend himself, Marozzo says, throw your left hand and grab their sword, or their hand. That's up to you. Hand or sword, and hit them anywhere. Head, leg, arm, doesn't matter. So there's the first part of this. Alternately, when he said, when I go here and do this, this could be grabbing the hand as well. Punch, cut, thrust, leg, it's all up to you. Any questions? Throw properly. Don't be down here, and this shouldn't be like this either. This is not, or this is no good either. We can't go in like that. We don't connect with each other's swords. There's got to be an angle of crossing there. He shouldn't be messing with me there. He wants that too. It's like he's cooperating with me, just to get to that moment where we can start fighting each other, and he thinks he can beat me. He's not going to mess with getting into that position. He wants that because he thinks he can do the same thing to me. So he's just as willing to get into that as I am. You see, there. Okay, careful. So the word is presa, the Italian word, presa. It means to press, it means to grab. So when I do it, I didn't explain fully enough, I just did it. So I've gotten in, I've turned and raised, and I've stepped from here, grab underneath, because you see I don't do that. I don't take my sword away and go to here. My sword's still here. He's pushing it. He pushed it out of the way. I have to make sure I keep it out of because he very much wants to do this.
Yeah, that's my next action.
I don't want him to do that. I'm still using my sword. Even though my thrust failed and he blocked it, I'm using my sword. And then my hand goes underneath my sword. And you see, look at here together. It's my sword, my hand working together to secure his sword. And then I hit him. You can't be careless right there. Does that make sense? Use your own sword as long as you can. See? Only once this is secured and I start, in this case, twisting it out of his grip, now I can use my sword. He's got nothing to do about it. I get at the strut, I turn, I step. Is this fake? Is this a fake thrust? Am I provoking only with that, or is it just a show so that I can do something else? No. I'll hit him if he doesn't parry well, I will hit him. My intention is to hit him in the face. That's why I'm doing it. It's not in any way a provocation or a show. Here's a bit of a show so he knows we're doing this. But if I turn my hand, raise it, and step, I will hit him in the face. So my point being, I'm not going short, and then when he does his thing, now what's happening is people can't reach. That's why, because you didn't step in deep enough to hit them in the face. So I can say it's sort of a provocation in the sense that I know he'll probably parry it. I'll throw it like I mean it, but I know he'll parry it because it's a very easy thing to do. So in that sense, sure, it is a provocation, but not one that I pulled in any way. It's that sort of provocation that if he doesn't do his part well, no, it's not a provocation anymore. It was really a thrust. So make sure that carefully, when I go in here at this measure, when I gather and go, when I turn and raise, I can easily hit him in the face. He turns and pushes out of the way. That's why I can reach this. Now on this here, let's turn around. How's this done? When you have to grab a sword, don't do that.
Oh, I want to pull that so bad.
You'll get your hand sliced up. You can pull right out through that. So what you do is you pinch it like a pair of pliers. You squeeze, see your fingertips go on the flat of the blade, and you pinch it, you squeeze it. This can be, I can have my thumb below or on top, as long as I'm pinching. You see the type of grip this is, and that is quite strong, much stronger than you might imagine. This is strong. But this, not only is it not as strong, it's not squeezing like that. Yeah, he can pull very.
There's enough birds on here to catch you.
He can pull that very easily and ruin your hand. So there's a method for that. Needs to be practiced. So there's an alternate ending here. After I've gotten in, turn, and done that, I may not want to grab that. I may not be able to. If he parries really wide, I can't, which is, I would say, would be inappropriate, not the way to do that. You wouldn't want to parry real wide there. If you can see why, considering also what he wants to do next, how far does he have to parry is the question. If I've gone like that, how far does he have to take that? Wouldn't want to go too far. But if he does, I couldn't grab it. Or maybe my step wasn't deep enough. Or maybe I just don't like that sort of stuff.
Maybe you already turned the ball.
Maybe I'm not good at it. Or there's a point there, is that maybe when I've gone in, maybe that point's already gotten to my face. There's another reason why I wouldn't want to grab that. The alternate is, if any of those conditions are true, or as I say, I simply don't want to do that because perhaps I don't like it or I'm not good at it. Once I've gotten here and turned, when he raises, I step over here and slash through his arm and redouble it, or through his head, cut through the head and redouble that into portofino largo. So cutting the head or cutting the arm, I step over. I've gotten in. I've turned, raised, and stepped. Right from here, as soon as he raises it, not afterwards, as he raises it, I step, shielding myself, and hit him in the head once, twice, or that could have been his arm. So there. And that may work great. It's possible he can try to avoid that. Especially if I go for his arm, he may jerk his arm back and step backward. It's a way to keep this play going because there is another part to it. I've gotten in. I've gone here. As I throw this, he may escape when I throw these and then come at me, in which case I go here, I thrust in his face in mezzo volta. So there's the conclusion, the full play. Let's go through it step by step. You got your first part of getting from here with your thrust. As he raises it, I step over here to strike him. He pulls himself back out of the way, and I miss, and I throw these twice. From here, it's a falso parry, but it's not like this, not from here. It's me stepping. So when I make from here this parry, I step and strike him right away. This goes from the head down through the toes. That means out here, because the next thing is this is a stoccata sopra mano, a thrust over the top into his face that twists into porta di ferro stretta. Then to complete, to make it nice and pretty, polished, he says, go with a mezzo volta into coda stretta. Gather, here, this, here, through, twice, parry, strike through, hit the face. That's volta. Something about it, making one foot follow the other. So lots of times when we strike a reverso, we pass the left foot. And in that they say also make your right foot follow behind your left foot into coda lunga alta. That's important, and we do that very many times. Except don't do that here, because we're not ending there, and we're not stepping with that following step, because you'll see, I'll show it to you here. When I make that falso and strike him, I do that right with this one step, and I'm not going to bother making my right foot follow behind my left. I'm not going to do that because my reverso is followed by that immediately. There was no need to move this right foot. Didn't help, wouldn't have helped, would only have slowed me down. So from the top, now that's a mandrito, not a tramozzone. Falso, strike, face, twisting. That's a volta. So I throw a cut, I step over here. Here I do make my left foot follow my right foot. That is happening here because my two redoubled mandriti place me into portiere larga. Here only the left foot hit him in the face all the way through. So that's going into codalunga distesa, as Marozzo would call it. So that's why he says cut him from the head down to the tips of his toes. My sword goes all the way down to his toes. What am I going to stop right here? Well, no, because what's my next thing? To thrust in his face with an imbroccato, or as he says, stoccato sopra mano, same thing. So when I cut through, that's why we cut through, and that's why it's so quickly over into the face. There's an unmentioned Guardia codalunga distesa there, but it's there. He didn't say it because he didn't really have to. But I'm showing you there it is.